Okay, guys. This is the last installment of the metaphysics of the Ten Commandments. And you thought we were finished, didn't you? Oh. So first we get the instructions, and then we get to learn how to use them. So I will paraphrase my Ten Commandments understanding, just to bring you up to speed. There's only one divine creator of all there is, and that divine creator creates all matter. Nothing in matter can hold God's entirety. Use God's energy to create what you want to create in your world. Consciously include God in your world by working for the universal good, at least one day a week. God provides wisdom for guidance and force for action. God is source of all things. Ask. God is life, and all is life. God is truth. God fulfills your desires and dreams. Walk the committed path with God to stay in the divine connection. Breathe it in. And I know that's exactly what you are living as well. All right. So I love the divine dip that man is divine, but do you ever just feel human? And do you ever have that experience when you are feeling human and you realize that you might have been doing something that was like, not exactly the best? Not that you didn't hurt or harm anybody, but you were not acting a way that represented you authentically. And then you go, dang it all. And then you feel bad about yourself. And do you feel divine in those moments? No, you feel so very human and so very full of limitation and, oh, yet again, I have missed the mark and blah, blah. Do you know what God says to you when you feel that? I love you. Stop beating yourself up. You're perfect. You're my divine child. Take a breath and do it again. Come on now. Lift you up. You can do this. So I want us to love our human nature as we go through this today. You know, we all have those moments. And I tell everyone, until I am walking through walls and walking on water, I'm having those moments right alongside everybody else. So today we want to breathe. We want to really look at how can we truly live those 10 commandments that Jesus gave, the explanation of. All right, so he's still doing the Sermon on the Mount, and he's still talking to the people, and he's just finished the last of the commandments. And what is the very first thing that he says? And these are instructions on how to maintain your own energy. He says, there is a rule that carnal man has made, which he rigidly observes. Do unto others as they do unto you. And in that day and time, it really wasn't the golden rule. It was do unto others as they do unto you. Do unto others as they do unto you. If they whack you, you get to whack them back. That was the law of the land. And he is introducing now, or reintroducing, what we know as the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And he says that in just a moment. He said, the wise man knows to do unto one another as he wants it done to him. Because when you do that, you are allowing a world to be created that vibrates at your frequency. I want to live in a world where I am treated this way. Therefore, I treat people that way. And that way I'm able to create a space that is for me. And I don't worry about what is for you. But then he says this, which is probably one of our greatest challenges. Do unto other men, and he says, and you all judge other men as you are judged. As people judge you, you judge others. You give it right back to them. And he says, judge not. For as you are judged, you will be judged. Judge not. As you give, you will receive. The law of giving and receiving. As we give, we will receive. As we judge, we will be judged. And I think judgment is one of the most powerful problems that we still have in our psyche today. And you can say, I don't judge. You can say that. And I could ask you, how many walls do you have in your consciousness that you've built against something? If you have built a wall, you are in perpetual judgment against whatever that wall has been built against. I will never, boom. I do not like, boom. We build these walls because we're afraid. We're afraid that they'll infect us. We're afraid that we will do what they're doing. We're afraid of something. They'll take our power. The minute we build a wall against something, we have judged that thing, and we are now attached to that thing. And then we walk around wondering why life is difficult. Jesus said, be perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect. We talked about that last week. That means inclusive. That means being able to see and allow others their choices. When you judge anything, you've just taken your choice away. If I judge this as bad, then I no longer have a choice to interact with it in any other way. It is now bad, and what will I draw to myself? That very vibration that I have judged. Why do I always get people who pick at me? Why do I always get people who do this? Why do I always get people who... There's a wall there that's in your consciousness where you have judged people that do these things. All right. This is easy stuff, right? Okay. Spirit said, until you stop judging, you cannot build a world for yourself. You are building a world for other people's behavior. Okay, you guys getting that? Until you stop judging, the world that you're building is based on others' behaviors. And you cannot build anything for you. All right. That permanent, perpetual judgment keeps us in a state of limitation. And it energetically binds us to those experiences. So what are we giving when we're in judgment? What are we going to receive when we're in judgment? And it is created because we are afraid of our human nature. We're afraid that our human nature will yet again fail or do something that we don't want to experience. And you guys can tell me, well, I judge the right people. I call it discernment. I judge them bad when they hurt or harm. I'm judging the right people. I'm doing it for the good. But you don't know the soul. You don't know what they're experiencing. You don't know why they're choosing that. You don't know anything other than you yourself would not choose that. I wouldn't choose that. So why am I even having an opinion about it? Do I really want to put myself in my brother's soul's path, which will serve him somehow, but would never serve me? Jesus said, when you show mercy, men are merciful to you. If you love in a way, carnal men may not be able to understand it, but love will return to you anyway. So, carnal man does good for others to gain. And particularly, he does say to gain in trade financially. People do good for people to gain financially. And Jesus says, do good because it is good. Do good because it is good for you. And that is the second point. Judge not. And the second point is give good. Be aware of the seeds that you're planting. How many of you were raised to understand success as financial independence? And if you don't have financial independence, feel like you're less than. How many of you work at something you don't enjoy just to get the paycheck? When your life follows that trajectory that we live in today, what is the benefit you will derive from that? You may get the financial blessing. You may be supplied and cared for. But if you're looking for that as the end goal, what did your life consist of to get there? We lose our focus on our own spirit. We lose our focus on our own creativity. We lose our focus on everything. And when people are making transition, I can tell you this, they don't lie on their deathbed and say, I wish I'd made more money. they say, man, I wish I'd taken more time. I wish I'd loved better. I wish I'd gone on that crazy trip I wanted to do. I wish I'd taken more time to be, to breathe, to be alive. That's the regret that people have. Because that's what fulfills them. And Jesus is saying to these people, give because you love. Give the goodness from within you, but don't give it for money. God is your supply and support. He's already told them, God's your source, God's your supply and support. This is right on the tails of this. If you live in God love and you give of your love, supply and support will come to you. You know, it will be there for you. Easy to do. Some of us have chosen lifetimes where we are learning that we cannot work for money. And most of us have chosen humble jobs because of that. Jobs that we will love, but we will be humbled by. And we will never have the income that someone else might have. But we can celebrate the income someone else has because they're learning something from that. Yay! It's wonderful when people get to experience their joys the way they choose. And someone living a humble life can sit down with lunch with someone living an opulently, splendidly prosperous life and be the same. Just be the same. Because they're both living what's good for them, the truth of their souls and spirits. Jesus said, if you realize that you are the field, the seeds that you are sowing are you in your own consciousness, and you will reap what you sow. And this is what he says. You are going to reap what you sow. If you sow, and they use the word noxious seeds, self-serving seeds, trying to gain from somebody else, not living in sharing and graciousness and joy, you're going to reap that. That will return to you. And he said, if you sow loving seeds, kind seeds, giving seeds, joyful, celebratory seeds, that will return to you. We tend to think that the work is outside of self. Again, working for money. I do this and I get prospered. He says, no. You do from here and you reap. You are energy. You are the field. Even when you go to your career, as you give into your career, you're going to get back what you gave. You don't have to worry about the paycheck at the end. It will return to you. It cannot not return to you somehow. So we're the field. Can you see what he's teaching them? It's all about energy. It's all about energy, not the matter. All right. He says, do what you love, and the love will come to you. Then he says, a little sin in one who walks in holy breath is greater in the sight of God than the monster sins in him who never knew the way. That's uncomfortable, isn't it? Well, I thought I'd be forgiven for a little one. Come on, guys. But the reality is, if we're walking in a vibration of seeking to be loved, to be generous, to be kind, to be all the things we want to be, and then we do something that we know, absolutely know for a fact, is not in alignment with our soul and spirit. Yet we live 90% in alignment with our soul and spirit. And we take that 10% and we choose to do something that is not in alignment with it. How blaring is that in our energy field? It becomes almost something that stops your forward motion because it is so different than what your normal space is. And when you're in that 10%, do you not feel very human? Very human. Whatever it was that you chose to do that did not align with the vibration of the 90% of your life could actually have been done in that higher vibration in a different way. All we have to do is ask. There was a desire for some end result that made us do that. There was a desire for an end result that made us do that. We can actually ask Spirit and use the divine energy to create a path that supports our soul that has the same end result. So our vibration stays succinct. You guys with me? Okay. This happens all the time. It happens all the time. Very good intentioned people, very loving, kind people say, well, this one time I will compromise. I will compromise who I am. This one time, I'll compromise who I am. The minute that happens, your field is now distorted. And remember what the famous saying that everyone has heard, to get the splinter out of your own eye before you look into your brother's. When you are distorted, there's a splinter in your eye. And you cannot see clearly any longer, anything. And your ability to help your brother is minimized as well. You know, when people come into, especially metaphysical Christian churches, they love to inventory the ministers. And we get very interesting questions. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. You know, we're not. We have 30 years of history of challenges and celebrations. And if Patrick and I ever come into a disagreement, it is not quiet. And it's in front of everybody. We don't do it secretly. But people will come in that don't know us, and they want to find the chinks in our moral fiber. What are you really doing as ministers, you know? Because every minister has that story that nobody wants to hear, that they don't want anybody to hear. Let me do it that way. Story that, don't tell anybody that one. If you've been around for any length of time, you hear all the stories. And they're fun. And I would like to tell you that I am the hero in every one of them, but I'm not. Patrick is, yes. Living your energy field authentically. Living the energy field authentically. Whether it is in the moment when you're not giving the good, but you're doing it for good. If you can find a way to express who you are authentically as the Christ, and I'm telling you, when we fight sometimes it's with gritted teeth, behold the Christ in you. You're God's child. You need to behave. I mean, we don't get out of our belief system. We just use it a little differently. And over the years, we try to do it less and less and less, obviously. But the moments that we get out of our authenticness, that's when the energy field gets compromised. So I shared all that with you to say to you, we are still feeling human emotions. We are still feeling human aspirations, human attachments, human loves. And sometimes even as metaphysical Christians and spirits, we get tripped up on that. But if we come back to being authentically, who am I as a spirit? Who am I as a spirit? Then I can make a choice, maybe wrong to somebody else's viewing point, but I can make a choice that I can live with. That I can live with. And if it got a result I don't want, that I can forgive myself for. But I've maintained my authenticity and did not compromise it for money or for gain. That is outside of the field of my soul, my I am. So this whole thing is about how do we maintain who we are? How do we maintain our energy field? And the first thing was to create a world for you. Do unto others what you would have them do unto you. Create a space for you. Create a space that you want for you. And then we can all have these beautiful little energy fields that are slightly different. Slightly different. But it's what we want to thrive in. Okay? The other idea was if we keep focused on our space, guess who we don't judge? Anybody. We don't judge ourselves, we don't judge anybody if we keep focused on our space. I'm creating a world that serves me. I'm focused on my space. I can't be mad at anybody else out there. If I need to change something in my world, I can see it, I can change it. And I can just let everybody do what they need to do. Because somehow, because I'm living in cooperation with my spirit, I'm living in cooperation with the divine, I seek that cooperation always. Somehow, whatever you guys are doing out there will find its way to cooperate with me. Somehow. I have no idea how. But it will find a space of cooperation with me if you are in my field, if you're going to be in my family of man. Create your space and then focus on that. You will judge no one. You only judge yourself when you look at a reaction from someone else. You judge others when you don't like what they're doing. Keep your eye on your path. All right. And then sow the seeds in your soul for what you want to experience. The joys of life, the expressions of life, the new experiences that you want. You know, trying something new. Sowing seeds when your soul is ready to sow a seed for something. I hate to rat Patrick out, but I kind of have to. We were in Michael's yesterday looking for stuff for our festival. You know, they have stuff on sale. And Pat's looking around, he goes, oh, the art supplies are on sale. Oh, and I know he's a artist deep inside somewhere. He actually bought himself paints and canvases and brushes, and he's going to kill me for telling you. But he is 70 years old. And he is letting himself now explore something that may have been in his heart since he was a baby. Can we just say, yay, God? Yay, God. And if he can do it, you can too. It's planting seeds in our own field. And his stuff that he paints may not leave the basement. You know, we may hang it on the wall down there, put it up in the house. It may not be seen anywhere. But it's his. It's for his soul. We are the field. Think about people whose lives when they've planted in everybody else's field but their own. And they miss all of the beautiful things that being a spiritual child of God would bring them. So sow the seeds that you want for your joy, not for money, not this is going to make me $1 million, for what you want, for life. And when Jesus is saying, watch your energy field, when you've got the splinter in your eye, you need to heal that. He's asking them to pay such attention to the fact that you are spirit, and there is never a time when you are not. When you choose to compromise anything about you, there is never a time when you are not spirit. You are using the energy of God in a compromised way. We think God's not a part of everything. God's part of everything. We think God didn't hear that. God hears everything. God's a part of everything. We are always spirit. If we could hold just that thought and live in that space, I am always spirit. I am never just human. I might feel human, but I am always spirit. Always. Just feel those words and see the shift in your own energy. I'm always spirit. Then I'm always unlimited. I can always plant whatever I need. I can always have experiences of love as I need to have them. And I can create something on this earth plane that blesses me and the world because it's coming from my heart. Then he says to them, when you walk with God, you can ask for what you want. You can knock and the door will open. You can seek and you will find. Nothing is withheld from you. Now, if you are not in alignment with God and you ask, seek, and knock, very famous scripture. If you are not in alignment with God, in the Spirit, in your divinity, in your unlimited nature, why, when you ask, would you not receive? Because you don't believe. You don't believe Spirit would bring it to you. If you believe Spirit is bringing it to you, you are in alignment with God. If you believe that you can seek and find, you are in alignment with God. You're in alignment with the abundance that takes care of us always. Nothing will be withheld. Ask, seek, knock. This is from White Eagle. These are the prayers of White Eagle is the name of the book. And I wanted to share this with you. There are many ways open to man, But there is one unfailing, one certain true way for man to establish God's kingdom upon earth. Ready? This is by the light within himself. Daily endeavor to realize your true self, which is buried deep in your innermost being. Remember always the quiet, pure, and true contact within the sanctuary of your own being. Be true to your own self, your own spirit, and being true to yourself, you will also be true to God and the universal brotherhood. Practice this daily realization of the great white light within your own being, project it forth into the world. Then, my friends, the mists around the earth will gradually be dispelled. Do not look to others to do the work for you. Every man is his own savior, and every man is the savior of all mankind. Isn't that beautiful? We are spirit. And this was the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus is giving the great explanation to the Jewish community. These ideas came from the Sermon on the Mount. The ideas of God being energy, being your Father, being provider of all. The ideas that you hold your frequency by creating a space for you and being authentic and being spirit. The idea that if you do that, you're walking in alignment with God light and all things can come to you. What a beautiful, uplifting consciousness he gifted the planet with at that time. And this is all tied to those beautiful 10 Commandments. As we've gone through this series, I know that we've all seen ways that we could improve our own approach to life by supporting each other, by not diminishing. That was one of the main things. Don't diminish your light or the light of another. Have you been finding yourself more awake and aware this past month? Okay. Next month, we're going to be talking about the universal church that Jesus said would come after his age was over. And this is the age that we're in today, building of this universal church, the universal ideals. Do you think that we need to get these 10 Commandments down before we move into that space? Yeah. So take a moment, feel your own energy for just a second, and now let's go within. Father, I ask that all that is now done be the highest blessing for everyone here. Again, I would ask you to just feel your energy. And I would ask you just to feel your heart. And just in your heart, in your minds, say, I know I am spirit. And I know, I do know, love is the greatest power. Teach me, God, how to be love. Creative, celebratory, unlimited love. And just begin to feel the beautiful ribbon of light coming over you, like a river of love moving through you. And just feel God saying, be still. You are good. Be still and let this light move through you. There is nothing you need to do but feel the love in your own heart. I am good. Feel the relaxation in your body. Feel a gentle peace moving through you. My path is God's path. And I am grateful. And God, I ask that you feed each one the food they need. And I would ask you all just to breathe and feel your love for Creator, feel your gratitude, and feel that you're one in this beautiful expression of God's magnificence, power, peace on this planet. And I am ready. Take a breath. Gently open your eyes. How are we doing? Are you guys spirit?
Yes.
Can you hold that frequency as you go this week?
Yes.
Say, yay God.
Yea, God.